Hi guys, it's Morgan, and today I'm going to New York with my mom to see Natasha, Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812 on Broadway, starring Josh Groban, and then tomorrow is the first day of BroadwayCon 2017, and I'm going to be vlogging that. So, let's go. It's the first day of BroadwayCon.
Shows. They're mostly Danny Burstein.
I'm old.
On top of that, they've also collectively had 19 Tony Award nominations. Right? Danny Burstein. So you guys have had so many incredible roles that you've done on Broadway. What is a show that you've worked on that you felt like pressure from a legacy that has had that role before you?
I mean, I think that is the hardest thing about stepping into something that that either you were attached to at one point in your life, or the sort of collective theater audience is attached to, either because of the cast recording or because they saw it at a certain time in your life. And I would say so often, like, half of the rehearsal process is getting yourself out of being scared and feeling like you're going to disappoint everybody.
Danny, you recently finished Fiddler.
Yes.
What was your experience with Fiddler before doing the show?
I had done Fiddler on the Roof when I was about 17 in community theater. Maybe I was even younger. And then I did it again when I was 21 in Summerstock with Theodore Bickel. And I knew I was going to be playing the role for about a year and a half before we started rehearsal. And so I did as much research as I could on Fiddler, and I actually looked back at old tapes of people doing Fiddler. I even went to the Lincoln Center Library and even got special permission from the Jerry Robbins estate so I could see Zero Mostel do it in 1977, I believe, at the Winter Garden. And basically what I did was I learned as much as I could and then threw it all away. I wanted to honor the people who came before me, but at the same time make it my own and forget about them. So what I basically did was I wore them on my back in a backpack, but I tried as much as possible to start at the very beginning like I would with any role and try and make it as honest and real as possible. On the other hand, when I did Follies, I didn't do any research on that at all, as far as looking back at what other people had done. I didn't want to know. I'd never seen a production of Follies, I didn't know Follies, and so I just wanted to make it fresh. And when people would come up to me and go, "How did you think of that? No one ever did that before." I'd go, "Well, I don't know." I didn't know that anybody had done anything different.
Yeah.
You know, for all I knew, I could have been copying somebody exactly. But that's the way I approach that one. It just depends on how you feel at that particular time, to what feels right to you, and in how to approach the role.
Absolutely. Kelly, I feel like you were going to say something before too.
Yeah, something else earlier, but I actually want to respond to that. I do it. I'm so opposite. I'm more like what you did with Follies, and I think it's because maybe it's because I don't. I think I trust myself enough now, but I don't want to know. And I've done a lot of revivals where they haven't been done in a long time, and the styles were so different when they were done that the only reason to do the revival is to make it a present situation, to make it understandable for this community, for a 2016-17 audience. And so I try not to watch anything at all. In fact, I kind of fear it, and I try not to listen, I try not to see, because I also feel like I can be a pretty good mimic, and I don't want to do that. I think it would be dangerous, and because I have actually done those in a hurry, and I find, well, there's Julie Andrews, just calling her up. and I don't want to do that in these particular situations where I'm doing a new revival on Broadway, and I want it to be a thing. And so, just like you with Follies, which was a huge success for you, I think, and I was working with, I think, Bart Shear on one of my first of these, and it was so important just to take the source material and see how it affected me as a person, and completely disregard, you know, Mitzi Gaynor or Mary Martin. I'd not seen Mary Martin's version at all, and not Mitzi Gaynor since I was a child, and just use the source material and see how it affected me personally. And I found that it did affect me so deeply personally that that I had plenty to say on my own about it. And so stuff like that, I think it's more important not to even recall, and to try to build from fresh.
It was hard because you weren't currently doing a show, but at the same time it was easier because you weren't currently doing the show. Anyway, interesting tidbit.
Well, yeah, we'll get into all of that too. It's like, for those of you who don't know, like, award season is crazy. It's like super, super busy. But first, let's get to you, Celia. The year you were nominated, the year that Spelling Bee came in was also the same year that Light in the Piazza came in, and you originated a role in Light in the Piazza. However, you did Spelling Bee that year. So take me through that year of not doing the one show but doing the other, and then still coming out at the end of the day with a Tony nomination.
Yeah, I like that you sort of frame it like you didn't do the Light in the Piazza. I was not asked to do the Light in the Piazza, so that's why I didn't get to do it. So that was a very, very painful and difficult moment in my career where I was like, oh, I guess I'm just a little bit of damaged goods because I was in the new Adam Guettel musical and now I'm not. So how am I going to play this? And I had luckily, my friend Jesse Tyler Ferguson, who I had done, he's up and coming. He's up and coming. You'll see his name someday. We had done a play together, a Michael John Cusa musical, and he was workshopping this little show about a spelling bee in the Berkshires, and he was like, there's actually a really great part for you in it, but the woman who created the entire show is playing it, and she's also directing it, and she's also written it. So this is Rebecca Feldman, who is an amazing artist and person. And they decided that they wanted that character to have more singing, and Rebecca was she was an improviser and a writer, and so she was like, I'm not really a singer, that's never been my thing. But the more they decided it would be a musical, the more it became clear that she wasn't the right fit for what they were trying to make. And so this sort of strange thing where I was replaced by someone in a musical, I then went in and replaced someone in the musical that she had made from the ground up in the exact same way that I had. And the Tonys, this was in 2007, and they were very different back then. There were, all of the like sort of mayhem of the award season did not really exist, I think because social media platforms were so much less, and I remember like, I didn't wake up to watch them, like the nominations, and now I'm like, what are you, crazy? Of course I'm gonna watch the nominations if it's a year that I'm a part of it, but it all was sort of, and I think because in my heart, Spelling Bee was this amazing thing that I got to be a part of, but it always felt a little bit like Second Banana, that I was like, I thought I was gonna be doing this other thing. That then, like waking up, and I think the first phone call I got that morning was from Bart Shear, who had directed Light in the Piazza, congratulating me, and I was like, what's happening? And so it was a really, if I'm totally honest, it was a complex Tony Award nomination and season to be a part of, because I was like, you should just be so happy you're here. Like, you could be on your couch watching Light on the Piazza and get all of these accolades. And instead, I was with all of these people who I cared so much about, who I had built this show with, along with this other family that I felt very much a part of. But it wasn't, as are many things in life, it was not the way that I imagined it. And so it was a really, and I still hadn't seen Piazza yet, so I got to watch their segment from the show, and I was just like, this is the most beautiful musical ever. You've been in that show. Yeah. Lauren also played Clara. And Spencer. I could not play a role in Gentleman's Guide. Not even close. But yeah, it was a really, I would say ultimately pretty healing and so lucky for how it worked out. And I mean, I just think particularly Kelly, who is so filled with grace and is such a truly wonderful person. It could have been a very different experience if she was a different person. And so, yeah, that was my first thing.
Well, we've got an amazing weekend of panels and performances and fun for you. We just have to take a very quick moment to thank the incredible staff and volunteers who have been working so hard all year to put this together.
And we couldn't be here without all of you, the fans. You are what makes BroadwayCon happen. Thank you. And we're here for you. So please enjoy. This is a safe place. I know it's been a tough couple weeks and a tough couple months for some of us in the arts community, but we are here and we're strong and we're not going anywhere. So, without any further ado, we're going to kick it off with the BroadwayCon main stage opening number. Please enjoy.
So Janae, you joined the show in Cambridge, Massachusetts, is that right?
Correct.
So how'd you wind up in the cast?
I auditioned for Dave and Rachel for a different show, for his show called Preludes.
Yeah.
And I loved my audition experience with them, which it's very rare that you love an audition experience. But I got a call back, but I didn't end up getting that job. And then they were auditioning for Natasha to go to the ART. And I auditioned in April of 2015 and went through the callback process. And I actually had another job to go work in London, and I changed my entire flight to do the final callback for this because I just felt like you know when you feel it,
yeah.
I just felt it. And so, so I went through the audition process, and then I didn't find out until August that I got it. And I was very thrilled because Natasha, I felt like she was a kindred spirit of mine.
You did.
And and then we did the Cambridge process, and a show's going to Broadway, but it's kind of like a pilot, you never know if you're going with it. And then it was January of the following year that I found out that I was going to be moving with the show.
And let me just ask you about the kindred spirit, because I know you've said before that you thought Natasha was the kind of role that you would never get. Can you say a little about that?
I thought they were gonna cast a pretty white soprano, which is the usual type for this type of role, but I felt so connected to Natasha and decided to just take the leap and let my heart speak for itself and hope that they saw the essence that I felt. And that's what ended up happening, which is a very incredible experience.
Great. And while you're in Cambridge, Josh, you are announced.
Yes. I'm new.
Josh Groban, folks.
Yeah, Josh is our last member. I was the newest addition to this long and rich history of the growth and journey of this show, and so I came into this process Grace came at the end of Ars Nova, and she came as a fan. I had seen this show when it was downtown at Casino, and came into it I left. I came in not knowing anything about the show, just the word of mouth, people saying, this thing is unreal, it's unlike anything else out there, you need to go see it, go in with an open mind. And I went in and I saw it and I walked out and I actually tweeted about loving the show, and that picture of me with most of you guys is still on Twitter from like 5 years ago. And you know, so it's very full circle to have then gone and seen the show in Cambridge, seen this incredible, to be enchanted by you at that time was amazing. To watch my standby, the amazing Scott Stanglin do Pierre in Cambridge was incredible, and who's just the best. And so, but I came to the show because I reached out. I read that they were thinking of bringing it to the proscenium, bringing it to Broadway, and I had a geeky reach out moment, and I said, hey, I'm gonna put myself out there. And there were drinks also.
Some drinks as well, yes.
Yeah,
it's funny, I remember the bars, all the bars. The tile bar was Britain, and you were Weather Up, and
yep.
Grace and I were having a drink with you.
Yeah.
It's a lot of bars.
Yeah. So, you know, but it obviously, I didn't take lightly at all the fact that I was entering a family that had been together and gone on this journey of Great Comet for so many years. And so I was nervous, I was grateful, and I continue to be so humbled by this extraordinary cast. It's been the greatest creative experience of my life. It's been amazing.
So I think it was backstage or one of the trade papers my mom read. Oh, they're looking for people for a musical about Little Orphan Annie. I had no idea about the comic strip. I had no idea who that was. But I did know about the Ovaltine, knew a little bit about that. And so I go on my lunch hour, and I think, was I the first kid you ever saw?
First kid we saw and the first kid we hired.
But I never knew that until I was, you know...
In the show?
No, I never knew that until, like, way later.
I didn't tell you?
I don't think so. And if you did, like, I
you
didn't
forgot.
register. Yeah. But I was supposed to go to the zoo that day, and my hair was done up by the CBS hairstylist in all French curls. And Martin liked the song. It was Johnny One Note, by the way. And
Johnny One Note fans out there.
And he said, come here, kid. And so I went up to the table, and he took my hair and just ripped, like, just shook it so it was all over my head like a little ragamuffin. I thought it was so funny. My mother, she was like, oh my God. I had to go back and film. They didn't think it was hilarious, but I did. And I just remember, that was my very first audition for a show. I had done one dinner theater production of The King and I at Mickey Rooney's Downingtown Inn, way out in Pennsylvania. And that was all of my theater experience.
I'll try.